Hello, we're back. International football is finally over for at least another 4 weeks at least. Yes, I had to dampen the mood. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Dugout Football Channel. Welcome to the live match preview of Watford against Liverpool. Obviously, Liverpool fans will remember the last meeting between the sides. It was a 3-0 win to Watford and my two smiling Hornets are right beside me. But joining me tonight, we have Mr. Roberto the Hornet. How are you, Roberto?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me on.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. And of course, I have Mr. James from the Watford Way back on with me again. How you doing, James?
I'm all good. I'm all good. Thank you very much for having me on. Really appreciate it. And yeah, just very much looking forward to the big match on Saturday, Ranieri's first game. So looking forward to that, of course, as well. And yeah, let's get into this preview.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's say hello to a few people as well. Mr. Nathan is in. Hello, Nathan. We were discussing the possibility of Scotland against Wales. That would be fantastic to get you down the border here. Hey, Helen Rabel. Hey to John Moore. Hope you're doing well. Evening. Could be seeing you in a World Cup playoff. Well, I'm very, very hopeful. I'm very hopeful, Mr. Green. That is for sure. But the big story is that obviously this is Claudio Ranieri's first game in charge of Watford. Now, I have to ask, because I have seen James do a little bit on Xisco Munoz being sacked. Roberto, what was your reaction to Xisco going?
Right, so I did a small video on my channel. I kind of did something just to react to it as instantly as I could. And my reaction was basically just disappointment. And then I had a few days to kind of dwell on it. And I thought, actually, it was the right decision from the board. And although from an outside perspective, Watford are one of those teams that don't really have the context all the time. And the way we do things is very different to other clubs. But I thought, actually, it's a very logical and it's the right decision at the end of the day. Xisco Munoz, unfortunately, as much of a lovely man he was, as much of a great character, the way he interacted with fans on social media, he was out of his depth. He was out of his depth. And, you know, that experience, you can't always learn on the job. And you can't, unfortunately, in the Premier League because you just don't have the time and the ground will fall under your feet. So I think it's ruthless, but we just need that man in the helm that's got that experience, got that know-how. I think James, you mentioned about in your review of it that actually we didn't have a plan B a lot of the time, and against Leeds, we certainly looked like a team that once we'd gone down, we just didn't have a response at all. It was a very nothing performance. So I'm hoping that Ranieri's got that experience. He has done a lot in different countries with Roma, Sampdoria. It's been a really great career for him. So it's obviously a different task. We know that obviously at Fulham it didn't end that well, but it's a similar kind of assignment about shoring up the defence. And I think he's really the man in terms of who we could have got. Eddie Howe, Chris Wilder, possibly Frank Lampard. I think he's actually the best option out of those just based on experience.
Yeah, James, what was your reaction to? Because obviously I did watch your live when obviously the news was announced, and you said it was the right decision.
Yeah, it was the right decision, as Roberto said. Obviously, very gutting, just because it's very rare in football that you get a really likable manager who really does connect with the fans, and Xisco did that at Watford. Just in the ground, he was talking to everyone, and especially on social media as well. I don't know if you're aware, Doug, but he directs message. He messages his fans directly on Instagram, Twitter, and he's just an all-round very, very nice guy. So obviously, when a nice person loses their job in any profession, it's not nice to see. But tactically, football is where it's at, and tactically, Xisco just wasn't that great. So as Roberto said, it was the right decision. Claudio Ranieri, one of the most experienced managers, in the Premier League at the moment. I think he must be the oldest now since Roy Hodgson has gone. So, we've got a really, really experienced manager in Ranieri. Gutted Xisco is gone. You know, a lot of fans actually saying they would have kept Xisco on in a coaching role, which is quite interesting. But yeah, very, very happy that Ranieri is here. Can he keep us up? You know, ask me again, you know, April, May time, have to wait and see. But yeah, gutted, Xisco's gone. Very happy Ranieri is here.
Yeah, Nathan says it was solid for the Hornets, in my opinion. It was a complete wrong job for him at Fulham for a number of reasons. Yeah, the Fulham stint, it wasn't great. Let's be honest. It was not great as well. But obviously, dilly ding, dilly dong. We'll look forward to obviously having Ranieri as well. Chris Wilson. I take it Ranieri's made a clone of himself so he can still do the Champions League. Yes, Giorgio Marchetti does look like Claudio Ranieri. I would have to agree with that. But as James said, I think Ranieri turns 70. Is it in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, literally. I think 9 days. 9 days, and it's his birthday.
Yeah.
9 days. 9 days. Now, Ranieri's actually got a very good record against Liverpool. He's won 4 out of the last 5 meetings as a manager with him. So it's going to be very, very intriguing. But Roberto, how would you sum up your season so far?
I think it's been a lot of troughs, not many peaks, unfortunately. I think the Villa game was that, you know, new season buzz. We went into it thinking, let's play on the break, but anything could happen. It's the start of a new season. And I think we caught Aston Villa cold. They weren't the team that we've seen from last season. They were very sloppy and we were very energetic and we bossed that midfield. And then after that, we just fell flat. And it's like, I don't know what happened against Brighton, against Spurs. In the Spurs game, at least we put some spirit into it. There was none of that against Brighton. But ever since that Villa game, we really haven't had any threat and we just let games pass us by. You mentioned earlier Leeds, that was a poor performance. Wolves as well in the second half, the first half of Newcastle. And then the only real positive, which is a game we would, you know, expect to win, was Norwich City, and that was just a bit of a blip win. So it's not been a great season, but I can see what Watford fans are saying in the respect that under an inexperienced manager, do we expect much more than 7 from the first 7? Probably not. But it's about the performances. I think that's the worrying trend for Watford right now. And we just need to be doing better in these easier games. And now we've got a hellish run. So it's a bit of a worrying trend, really.
I mean, you say hellish. I think when I look at your next few fixtures, I'm like, help. James, you and I had a good chat about obviously your transfer window. Looking back on it, are you still happy with the business that you did?
Yeah, I'm still happy with the business we did. You know, regardless of the results, we can't judge the transfer window is 7 games into a season. It's just not fair. The one thing I'm sure Roberto will agree with me on this as well is that we really needed another centre back. We've had quite a big issue there in regards to injuries. Francisco Sirielta has just got injured. Christian Kabasele has got injured, and that just leaves us with 2 fit centre backs, and both of which are on international duty at the moment. So if something happens to one of them, you know, we are in a real issue. We brought in Nkulu from Italy, who is great, but Claudio Ranieri confirmed today that he's not even going to be ready for 2 to 3 weeks because obviously fitness. He was a free agent. He's not trained with any clubs. So really, coming up against you guys, I know you've got a few injury issues and obviously players coming back from international duty, but for us, we've only got two fit centre backs at the moment. So transfer window was great. We brought in some good young talented players, some experienced players, Danny Rose, Musa Sissoko. But for me personally, we really needed to bring another centre back in because we are lacking in that area of the pitch.
Yeah, definitely. Having said, Dennis will be good for the Hornets. They will miss Hughes and Deeney. Yeah, well, with Hughes, I think you managed to get rid of him. He hasn't played a single game yet for Crystal Palace, which is mental. Big Al Douglas, I know Watford are struggling, but they have good counter-attacking players in Sarr. Yes, Emilia Sarr, who tore us to shreds last time, if I seem to remember as well. But, I mean, Nkulu, I must admit, that is a very sensible bit of business. Getting an experienced centre-back. Yes, I know he hasn't played Premier League football, but you needed a centre-back, and I think I was surprised Nkulu was a free agent, if I'm being honest with you, Roberto.
Yeah, no, I think as you say, it's a really smart move. And I think it was just reacting to, as you mentioned, James, those injuries. And I think at the start of the season, the transfer window, letting go Ben Wilmot, I think was a slightly questionable move because, you know, he was progressing with Watford. He had a few games under his belt in the Championship, but not really as much as we want to see. And I get that he's not going to be week in, week out, but a bit of confidence, a few games in the Cup maybe, and then he can push for some starting games in the Prem. So I think it was a difficult transfer window in the respect that we had a lot of players turning their heads. You mentioned Will Hughes and Nathaniel Chalobah, you know, players that 2 seasons ago we never would have thought we'd have to discuss moving on to the club and moving on to other things really. So I think that it's a really good buy. He just looks like a very sensible you know, low risk transfer on a free, and I think that we needed that really. Rauta's obviously had a pretty dreadful start to the season. Didn't have the fitness in pre-season, didn't play a lot of matches, and then when he came in, the own goal that did you know, shatter his confidence. And actually, it was odd because, you know, our best starting centre back is him, along with William Troost-Ekong, and to not play him in some of those games was a questionable thing. But he obviously did have these personal issues with it, and then we bring him in the Palace game in the Carabao Cup. He gets a clean sheet straight away. So there are signs that he will be better, and especially when William Troost-Ekong goes out to AFCON, we need that kind of solidity that he showed last season. But it's important. Yeah, we got in Kulu, so we could have something else.
Yeah, I'm going to give you this question, James. How do you see your relative strength on the wings? Femenia, Sarr on the right, and Rose Dennis on the left. Which side do you see as stronger?
Well, I'm going to have to go, you know, the side that Sarr's on as our strongest side. I think that's only natural for me to say that. But we do have a lot of strength and depth on the wings, I feel. I know he's listed Femenier as... well, Femenier, you know, he could actually play as a winger himself if Sarr wasn't in that position. But, you know, for me, the Sarr-Kika Femenier partnership that, especially last season, we saw in the Championship, they linked up for so many goals that it was just fantastic play between them at times. Last season against Norwich, we saw a little bit of that before Kiko come off injured. But yeah, I think for me, the Femenier-Sarr partnership is key. But, you know, as Roberto hinted at there, we do have quite a lot of African players at Watford. AFCON for us, and obviously for you guys at Liverpool as well. And it is going to be a real issue, you know, missing Sarr for 3, 4, 5 weeks, depending on how far Senegal go in the tournament. So at the moment, it's our strongest side, the right-hand side. But when he's off to the African Cup of Nations, then yeah, it might be a real issue for us. But shout out to Cucho Hernandez as well on the left. Hopefully he'll be given a chance under Ranieri. He kind of plays left wing. He can play striker. Really, really promising player. So watch out for him on Saturday as well.
Cucho Hernandez. Yeah, he was the one that scored the very brilliant goal against Villa, wasn't it? Where he cuts in and curls it. Yeah, that I like.
He's not been given a chance since under Xisco, which I found really, really strange. But hopefully he'll be starting against you guys on Saturday.
We will see. Helen Rabel says, sorry, I meant Sarr and Dennis. Stupid autocorrect. Roberto and James, where do you think Watford will be in the table at Christmas? That's a good question.
That is a very good question. Oh, thanks, James. I think it's going to be a really difficult run all the way till November, really. And then we've got a couple of absolutely massive games in December against Brentford and Burnley. And if we can get out of that with a couple of wins, and then we have West Ham to end the year, I think realistically we would take about 15th right now. I think obviously the table right now does seem to lie. We've said about how performances haven't really reflected that. But I do think, as long as we can keep our head above the water, and I think it's that pool of teams, you know, you would have talked about Newcastle in that pool, but obviously the takeover has now really hurt us with that. So you're looking at really Southampton, Burnley, maybe Leeds if they keep conceding goals, and you'd probably just put in someone like, you know, I guess it's always difficult because Norwich, you don't want to write them off, right? But they are looking awful. And I think Newcastle was one of those teams we would have had in that conversation. But now it's a matter of, can we just push on at the final part of the season? Because we could easily be one of those 3 teams, unfortunately.
Yeah, James?
I think for me, I mean, I'll be a little bit more pessimistic than Roberto. As long as we're not in the relegation zone, I'll take that. So, 17th or above, I'll take. But obviously, depending on, as you said earlier, Doug, the run we've got end of October into November is ridiculous. And we could very easily find ourselves in 19th, 20th, come the start of December, and then there's so much pressure in December to then win them games. Games that you might think are winnable suddenly become, very, very tricky to win just because of the amount of pressure that's on them. But yeah, I won't prolong the question. I could sit here and talk about our fixture list for a very long time. But yeah, 17th or above for me. And then we start again in January. And yeah, hopefully we can, build on that and stay up.
Yeah, I have to agree with what you were saying about AFCON though. Like, you guys missing Sarr, we're missing Salah, we're missing Mane, we're missing Naby Keita. I mean, that's not really much of a miss, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, it'll definitely hurt us. It'll definitely hurt us. Good evening to John Moore, LFC Belfast chat. Good night. Sitting watching you guys and Coppice at the same time. We really do have so many brilliant LFC channels. Love it. Oh, well, I do appreciate that. I do really appreciate that. Helen's going for a 2-1 LFC, Salah, Sarr and Mane. So the African contingent winning. 15 would be a solid season, says Nathan. Very, very interesting. Yeah, it would be, actually. Oh, here we go. Do you think FSG will maybe start asking themselves the question if now right time to sell up with the Newcastle takeover? No. I don't see it. I don't see them selling up any time whatsoever. But you never know. You never know. You never know. I mean, I didn't like Hicks and Gillette, and FSG have done some very, very good things, and they've done better things than Hicks and Gillette did. Anyway, so what have you guys made of Liverpool so far this season? Roberto, what have you made of Liverpool so far?
Well, I kind of went into this season thinking, I tell you what, Liverpool, they're getting a bit undervalued. I look at Man City, I look at Chelsea, Man United strengthening with Ronaldo and with Sancho, and everyone's talking about those teams. They're not talking about Liverpool and the fact that they've actually got Van Dijk back. They've got Matic playing well. They've got, a lot of key players that were brilliant in the 1920 season. They're going to be at the top of their game. And going into this season, we had a lot of Liverpool players nearly on 100 Premier League goals, the likes of Salah, Mane.
Yeah.
These are players who are at the top of their game and they really can click. And yeah, I thought the Norwich game was, a bit of a formality. But after that, your performance against Chelsea, I thought, that could have gone either way. And Chelsea was defensively so impressive. So I think you could feel that you could have got more out of that Chelsea game based on the second half, at least. And then against Man City, I thought, if you maybe play a bit better in that first half, then you really had a chance of winning. But it was just a fantastic goal from Mohamed Salah in the second half. Just honestly, that's got to be a contender for goal of the season, because it was just, he had no right. He had no right with Joao Cancelo, getting absolutely steamrolled, and that's just such a tight angle. So yeah, I was just going to say, I think Liverpool, they should have high expectations. It will be tough with the way that, you see the transfer window. A lot of other clubs have strengthened. Maybe Liverpool could have got a replacement for Wijnaldum, a few more, strikers to compete with Firmino and Jota. But other than that, I think you're in good stead for at least Champions League, and then it'll be about pushing for that second spot and the first spot.
Yeah, I mean, go back to Salah's goal. It was magical, magical Mohamed Salah, and he's done that so many times as well. James, what have you made of Liverpool so far?
I don't really think you guys should be very worried at all. I think Salah's probably on form, the best player in the world currently. So I'm looking forward to seeing him at Vicarage Road on Saturday, just because I like watching, good players, of course. And yeah, apart from, a massive injury crisis, I think that's the thing with Liverpool. Whenever I look at them, they're a fantastic team. They've got fantastic players, but you guys, do seem to lack depth in certain areas. I think Konate was a really good buy at centre-back. But apart from that, you didn't really strengthen in the midfield. If a Salah or a Firmino gets injured, you haven't really got anyone behind them of world-class quality to replace them. And when you look at Manchester City, when you look at Chelsea, I just feel like they have a better depth of player in their squad. But your starting squad as a whole can compete with any team in the league on any day, and you guys should really be aspiring to win the league. So I've been very, very impressed. You play a very high intensity game of football every time I watch you play. So yeah, no worries at all for you guys having a great season, apart from obviously on Saturday when Sarr is scoring a hat-trick against you again.
Yeah,
I was
looking past Van Dijk.
I was about to say you might be looking forward to see Mohamed Salah play, but Watford fans must be sick of the sight of him because I think, barring West Ham, I think he scored more goals against Watford than any other Premier League side.
Yeah, and I think Bournemouth are up there as well. But I remember that that 2017-18 game. I think he scored 4 goals in the same game. It was a nightmare match. And that season we had a good second half of the season with Javi Gracia. But that's the thing with Liverpool. We can have good seasons, but if you just turn it on, you're impossible to stop, and I'm worried. I am, honestly.
I think Roberto is right, because we obviously beat you 3-0 at home the last time we played you, but I think you're quite a funny side in a sense, because we can beat you 3-0 and you can beat us 7-8-0. So we really don't know what's going to happen. It'll probably end up being a boring 0-0 draw, but I obviously would take that.
I'd love that.
Yeah, of course. I don't know if you saw earlier, Claudio Ranieri in his press conference, he actually said, if the Watford players keep a clean sheet in this game, he's going to buy them all a meal, which is fantastic. So hopefully we'll keep a clean sheet.
We will see. This is a very interesting question from Liz. James and Roberto, what 3 teams do you want Watford to beat the most this season?
Really good question. I'll go for Crystal Palace, because we just have a friendly net relationship with them. We'll go for Burnley, because we always seem to do poorly against Burnley, so it'd be nice to get some redemption. And we'll also go for Norwich. I mean, I know we've already beaten them, but to not beat them in the game at home would be a disaster. So yeah, we'll go for that.
James?
I'll go with Crystal Palace, because they're a horrible club, to be honest with you. I'll go with Burnley as well, just because I hate the way they play. I think it's very boring. I wouldn't, if I was a Burnley fan paying £500 a season, I wouldn't really want to watch Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes, so I'll go with Burnley as well. And then third's a difficult one, because apart from Palace, if Bournemouth were up here with us, I'd say them, that they're obviously in the Championship. If Luton were up here with us, I'd say Luton, but we don't talk about them. I'll go with Manchester City, just because I don't even know if Watford have ever beaten Man City in their whole history. So I'll probably go with Manchester City, just to tick off that final club in the top 6 we've yet to beat in the Premier League.
I like it. To be fair, I actually thought one of you were actually going to say Manchester City as well. But yeah, I could not answer that question. I don't think you have beaten Man City. So first time's a first. You never know. Let me see. Helen saying City, Man United, Chelsea. Yeah, I think that's for us anyway. First shout, Helen. I don't see myself. Maybe FSG or business people, they will be looking at it from that point of view. Could be a point where they can make the most of money. Well, you never know. As well. Okay, I finished eating food. Did my questions be asked? Did I miss much? Watford win. I honestly don't. I honestly did not see that. Would FSG take over Derby? No. No. Do you two live in Watford or nearby, like St Albans or elsewhere?
So I live in Hempstead, which is about 7 miles north of Watford. So literally on a match day, I'll go down to the train station. The train takes 5 minutes. Watford Junction, walk to the ground, easy peasy lemon squeezy. So yeah, not a bad journey at all for me. I'm not sure about Roberto, but I've got quite.
Yeah, it's a little bit longer, but not long at all. Like you say, it's very nice and easy. So I'm Hertfordshire, so literally 2 hours in the car, maybe less than that, an hour and a half. And yeah, I'll probably leave for a 3 o'clock kickoff, probably leave about 1. And then, yeah, after that, park the car, walk down and get into the old Vic. Yeah.
I like it. Chris is in. How the devil are you all? That's his very good catchphrase. Don't go with Douglas's predictions. Yeah, I may have said a Brentford win over Chelsea. Sorry. Do you consider Arsenal a rival because your training ground is on the same road as them and etc.?
Do we consider them a rival? Not in the sense of, competing with them in the league. I think, they should be aspiring for much more than we are currently. They should be trying to get European football, whereas we are obviously just trying to stay in the league. But in terms of literally being next door to each other, I suppose you could say that. I also think that when it comes to transfer negotiations, if there's ever an Arsenal player that Watford want, the first thing I would say to that player is they don't have to move house, because we're literally, right next door to Arsenal. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's a rivalry. I think the Crystal Palace rivalry is a lot stronger than
that. Well, if I'm being honest, I think you're due a win over Arsenal this season, because I remember the 2-2 where Arsenal had a 2-0 lead. And then it's just that Guendouzi, what was it? It was like 2-0, and then 5 minutes later it was like 2-2. That was hilarious. So I think you are due a win, but obviously enough of Arsenal and enough of Crystal Palace. Focusing on the game, where do you see this game being won and lost, Roberto?
Honestly, I know this is pessimistic, but I'm worried about it being lost on set pieces. And the reason I say that is we are awful at defending set pieces, and we know that Liverpool are brilliant at scoring from them. So Trent Alexander-Arnold could possibly be back. We know that Virgil van Dijk is just an absolute beast in the air. And we also know that, Salah can take a corner. They can see, like you saw against Norwich, he can just be on the edge of the box, ready for the drop back, and then just whip it in from, the edge of the box. So I'm worried about that. We really just have this problem time and time again. We don't often score from set pieces. I think the only one recently was the goal for Sarr against Newcastle. But when we're defending a set piece, we just switch off, and we really can't get touch tight. We made the mistake for the Leeds goal. Jurgen Kuka unfortunately headed it back to Llorente to score. So I feel like it's mistaken us. I hate to say it, but we're just not a confident camp right now, and we need to get these kind of more winnable games and put in performances and get wins, and then we can improve. But right now, I think we just have to bite the bullet.
Set pieces for you, James. What about you?
For me, just defensively. Obviously, I mentioned earlier we've only got 2 fit centre backs. One of which is Craig Cathcart, who is a great guy, but he is getting on. He's not very good at football anymore, quite literally. So I'm very worried about Salah and Mane and Firmino running at him. Very, very concerned. So yeah, I think just defensively, your pacing behind is ridiculous. I don't think tactically I could sit here and dive into stuff, but at the end of the day, you've got better players than us. We've only got 2 fit centre backs. I think that's a recipe for disaster. However, I could be completely wrong, and it could go the other way around. So who knows? But I think defensively, for both sides, is obviously key.
Yeah. And I also think, sorry, just quickly about Cathcart. Back in his day, in the Championship, he's such a loyal member of the squad. In the Premier League early seasons when we were promoted, he was defender you could hang your hat on, to just be consistent, be reliable, not mess about, clear it away when needed, not get too cocky. He's that kind of player, really. But yeah, as you say, James, he is getting on now, and he's got mistakes in him, like we saw against Newcastle, just casually giving the ball away, and Longstaff was a bit of a sitter, really, that he missed there. So I think we have a mistake in us, I'm afraid, and I think hopefully that's not going to be down to Salah's pace and Cathcart's lack of it.
Yeah. This is a good question. If Josh King is out this weekend, does João Pedro come in, or do you guys put Sarr through in the middle? James, what do you think about that?
I think Rory's completely wrong, actually. I think that if Josh King's out, we'll probably see Emmanuel Dennis down the middle. You probably see Cucho Hernandez on the left and Pedro on the right. But, all three of them players can interchange positions. So, Dennis might start down the middle, but he might end up playing on the left. He might end up playing on the right, which is actually a good thing because we very rarely have seen that at Watford with such a fluid front three. We've obviously always played Troy Deeney, who is good, but it's very, very static. He's more of a target man.
Yeah.
Whereas now, a lot of our attacking players, are really, really fast. They're great dribblers. And they can find space. So, I actually don't think, Sarr will be down the middle at all. I think, Sarr might stay on the right, Dennis down the middle, and Cucho Hernandez out on the left. And bearing in mind with João Pedro as well, he's just recently returned from quite a long-term injury. So he might not even start this game. He might start on the bench. So that's probably the front three that we'll see against Liverpool.
Yeah, and also I was looking at the formation that Ranieri has favoured recently, and I think a 4-4-2 is maybe what he could go with if we're starting to get these kind of defensive foundation, and maybe, as you say, we could have Cucho or maybe Ken Sema on the left, and you can see Sarr on the right there. We could have Dennis, and we can maybe go with if we're not going to play King there, let's say someone like Pedro, if he's fit, that could be a decent front two. So.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a very, very intriguing game. Mike Green has asked a very, very good question because you've been swapping and changing between Ben Foster and Daniel Bachmann. Now, I'm going to be honest. I don't really rate Bachmann. I don't know what you two are like, but I've seen him in the Scottish Premiership with Kilmarnock, and he does have a mistake in him. So, what are you guys' thoughts on Ben Foster?
You can go first if you want.
Ben Foster. So I don't actually know if Mike Green's question is actually directed about his YouTube channel that he does or not. I think that plays a part for Watford fans as well. There's a lot of Watford fans who don't like his YouTube channel. They see it as a distraction. I disagree with that. I think that when he's playing his 90 minutes of football on the pitch, he's not worried about his YouTube channel. But in terms of ability, experience between them, if you're a Watford fan and you watched, every single Watford game this season, you'll know that both goalkeepers, both of them make mistakes. Now, the question is, do you want a younger goalkeeper who ultimately is going to be the future of Watford in Daniel Bachmann to play now, knowing he will make mistakes, or do you want a more experienced head in Ben Foster, who also will make mistakes, but has got 10, 11, 12 years on Daniel Bachmann in his career. So, both goalkeepers are really, really good. Both probably around the same ability as well. Currently, who do I prefer personally? I'd probably stick with Ben Foster. I don't think it's necessarily good for the team to keep changing out the keeper, every time one makes a mistake. I know if Alisson made a mistake, you wouldn't suddenly switch him out for your backup keeper. I know Alisson would obviously keep his place, and I'm not sure why Xisco did that. It was quite baffling.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering about the Norwich game. Obviously, there was a first report at the Athletic, Adam Leventhal, saying that it was an injury there. And then we got a report that actually Xisco had made that a tactical decision. I'm thinking maybe it's a bit of a 6-pointer. He's trying to bring in a bit of experience for that kind of match. And then I think Newcastle was confirmed a knee injury for Bachmann, and that's why. But yeah, in my personal opinion, I think long-term, Daniel Bachmann is our goalkeeper. He proved in the Championship last season. He made a fantastic string of saves. And I think I slightly disagree about the early part of the season. Bachmann's got a mistake in him, because actually he didn't look amazing against Tottenham, of course. He made the mistake for the goal, but he also did make up for it to an extent with some of the great saves he made in the match as well. And I think Foster, he is such a reliable, safe pair of hands, but it's hard when you're in a relegation battle to be relying on a 39-year-old week in, week out to get you clean sheets. And I'm not saying Foster's played badly, but I just think Bachmann is, as you say, James, the future of Watford. So I would go with probably Foster in this game, just because Bachmann hasn't really got into the swing of things in terms of playing matches regularly recently. But yeah, long term, I'd go Daniel.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. And it is nice to see. James and Roberto, you seem like lovely fellows. It's a shame Liverpool will beat your beloved 4-0. 4-0.
It could happen. It could happen.
It could. Oh, here we go. Oh, Anthony, Ranieri, whoa. He came from Italy to manage the City. I'm guessing he's a big Ranieri fan anyway. Hello to Zach, hope you're doing well. Well, we're thinking of my sister. She's a Hornets fan. Oh, split loyalties in the family then. Watford are now my second team. I wonder why, Anthony. I wonder why. Never easy game for us away at Watford. We won 3-0 in 18-19, but even that wasn't an easy game. No, it's never an easy game between them. And if I seem to remember...
we won 3-0 in our first promotion season as well, 15-16 season, a Gallo double.
Ake as well.
Yeah, definitely. Hi Annie, how's you? What's up with the... Yeah, that is nonsense. I think he's saying that he doesn't want to go. Anthony has said Rogers to Newcastle not happening, confirmed by get your teeth in, Douglas. Fabrizio Romano. If it was Brentford, I'd be nervous. yeah, definitely.
That Brentford point is really interesting because I think we're very different in terms of our club identity to Brentford. Brentford going into the season, they have a very different transfer strategy, and they stick to stats. They stick to bring in certain players and playing a certain type of football. And I think what we see is a bit of identity now under Ranieri. I'm not going to say that we should be putting that tactic in the first game of the season. We should wait until our fixtures are a bit kinder and then give Ranieri a chance to prove himself. But I'd like to see us not just, park the bus in all the games, because you're not going to win. Obviously, on an ideal scale, 38 points, a point a game, that's going to keep you up. But that's not always the way with the Premier League. So if we can just get some kind of rhythm going, some kind of system, and then we can actually see that there's an ambition there to consolidate ourselves, not just stay up every time. I think Brentford have just looked so much, a breath of fresh air this season. And I'm not saying we should score as many goals as them like they did against Liverpool, but at least those kind of promises there.
Guys, if you are enjoying the stream, then please hit that like button and hit that subscribe button as well. We are on the road to 1.5k. If we can get anywhere near that before the end of the year, that would be absolutely fantastic. And I have noticed that the Leicester fan channels are coming in, and it does not surprise me because we've got beyond the 90. Evening, everyone. Please look after our favourite granddad, Dilly Ding, Dilly Dong. Come on. And Mike Green has just said, a Gallo, what a man. Yeah, I don't think... if anyone has said in 15-16 that Odion Ighalo would go from Watford to China to Manchester United, I don't think anyone would have predicted that. Anyway, Chris has said, I predicted Watford to stay up comfortably start of the season. I stand by that. Yeah, I think so. We won the league with part of the bus. Respect the shithousery of Ranieri. Dearie me. So, with that being said, what is your starting 11 predictions on Saturday? Roberto, I'll start with you.
Okay, so I'll go with a 4-4-2, as I mentioned before. I just don't feel like he'll set up in a 4-3-3. I think it's probably a bit too risky when we haven't seen it, is how it's worked and how we approach this kind of match. So I'll say Foster in goal, back three of Danny Rose. Craig Cathcart is all we've got, I'm afraid. And then William Troost-Ekong and on the right, Kiko Femenia and Rose on the left. And then in terms of that midfield three, it's something that Watford fans a lot talk about, but I think we have to go with a 4 in midfield. So I'll say on the left, your man, James, Cucho Hernandez. We might as well, because, we've got to look at this game as a free hit. We've got to look at it as we might as well go at Liverpool and cause, Trent, it's only just come back from injury, a few problems. And Cucho's got the pace to do that. I mean, in a likely world, I could see Ken Sema starting there, but as you say, I'd like to see Cucho there. And then the midfield two, I would go with Sissoko, who's looked, if not Watford's poor performances, he's at least not been the worst one in every game.
Yeah.
And next to him, Ozan Tufan, I think he's, had decent spells. Certainly was one of our brightest players against Leeds and nearly scored. And then on the right is Ismaila Sarr, of course. Hopefully he can do it again like the last season that we were in the Premier League. And then up front, it's a bit of a bold one because I don't know if he's going to start, but I'll go Joao Pedro and I'll go alongside him Emmanuel Dennis.
Interesting. James?
I'll stick with the 4-3-3 formation just because that's what we've played so far this season. So until that changes, I won't change my formation. In goal, I'll go with Ben Foster. Same back four as Roberto. I think that's pretty standard, especially the injuries we've got. So Kiefer Feminier, William Schuster-Kong, Craig Cathcart, Danny Rose. A midfield three, I'm not the biggest fan of Juraj Kuka. I think he's very sluggish. I just don't think he's really cut out for the Premier League. Obviously, Roberto, apart from that Aston Villa game, he's not really done it, has he? So
I think that Villa game, he just kind of was on a high, and then he's not really set those standards since.
Yeah, so he definitely will not be in my preferred 11. So no Juraj Kuka for me. I'll go with Ozan Tufan, Musa Sissoko, and Imran Louza, who had a really, really good international break. Actually, I think he got an assist last night as well, which is really good to see. And my front three, obviously, depending on what happens with Josh King, that this could ultimately change. I'll presume he will play, but I doubt he'll start the game. So I'll go with Josh King down the middle, Cucho Hernandez on the left, and Ismail Sarr on the right. However, if Josh King doesn't play, obviously the front three I discussed earlier. You can play Dennis down the middle. I wouldn't mind seeing that. So yeah, hopefully Josh King will play. If not, I'll go with Dennis down the middle, Cucho on the left, Sarr on the right.
Yeah, that does sound like a very, very good team. Congrats on the adverts. Never been so happy to see crap, unskippable adverts. Yeah, apologies for that. And then Watford to United, what a downgrade. Oh, don't remind me of Adam Bogdan, Chris, please. One of our worst.
In this game, I think you got Kelleher, haven't you? Because Alisson's coming late back from Brazil. So that is something for us. I hate to say it, but it's hard to be positive in this game. But if we can give Kelleher a few problems, I know he was really good in that Champions League game last season, and he's not had many chances to prove himself in the Premier League. So yeah, it should be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. 4-5. I think you mean 3-5-2 for us under Ranieri as Kante's two players. I like that. Yes, Alisson and Fabinho are both out apparently because they are playing 24 hours before we play Watford.
Did Firmino not travel with the Brazil squad then? Did Firmino?
I think Firmino was held back, wasn't he?
He was held back. Yeah, he wasn't in the squad.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Jota's got an injury, so maybe Firmino might start.
Oh, here we go. King, Claudio, they're all coming in here. As well. I did see another question here. Yeah, thoughts on the Hughes to Palace move, which hasn't really gone very well so far. I mean, James, you and I had a good chat, and the last time we spoke, we were discussing about Will Hughes, and he'd actually been banished to the youth team, didn't he, because of the contract? So are you glad to see the back of him?
Oh no, I'm not glad to see the back of him at all. I think the club probably are, which is very, very strange. That it's quite a strange situation really, because Watford, Will Hughes and his agent, there was something going on there with the contract. It looked like Hughes wanted to leave, but he also wanted to stay. It was very, very confusing. Ultimately, I think it was down to money, as it is with a lot of footballers. They could get more money elsewhere. Will Hughes obviously listened to his agent, got the move to Palace, and I'm very, very surprised that he's yet to even play a single minute for them. This is very, very surprising to me, and it's actually frustrating because he was such an asset for us. He would have started every game. With Dini leaving, he might have become the new captain at the club as well. And for him to kind of turn that down, I think a lot of what found very, very strange. So for me, it's just more frustrating because he's not getting used at Palace. And, at Watford, we've had midfield issues this season. He would have played a lot of football.
Because I remember when he was at Derby, we were continuously linked with him. I don't know why, but Liverpool had a very, very good sort of look at him, and obviously they didn't obviously go for him. Now, I know that I play fantasy football, and I know Roberto plays. So Rory has to ask a question about fantasy Premier League. A less serious question: if Roberto and James play FPL, which I know Roberto does and I do they have any Watford players on their team apart from Sarr?
Well, that is a good question. Basically, for me, it's hard to go without only Sarr if you've got any Watford players, basically. So right now, I was actually thinking this week I might sell Sarr because we got a
Oh, okay.
we might have a really, we've got a really hard run of fixtures. And I think we just don't know how we're going to play to Sarr's strengths. Like, obviously, there's the narrative around, oh, Sarr did it against Liverpool, but that was maybe a one-off game, I think. And also, I've got Foster, which is just like a bench goalie. Like, he's not playing, but he's a 4 million playing goalie. So, yeah, that's all I've got, basically.
James, do you play fantasy football?
No, I'm gonna disappoint everyone and say I don't. I actually used to. I used to play at my old job. They used to have a fantasy football league. But ever since I left that job, I just haven't got into it. And I usually will play it for 5-10 weeks, and then I'll just I'll slowly fall out of it, not have much interest. So it does take up a lot of time. You can sit there for hours, pondering over your team and what changes to make. I know Roberto's a very, very big fan of FPL, but I'm sorry to disappoint everyone. If I did play though, Sarr would be in my team this weekend because he is getting a couple of goals. So keep Sarr in your FPL teams, everyone.
Fighting talk. I like it. Sure. Evening, lads. Hope it's a good game this weekend. Hope you're all having a lovely week. Hello to Jack Mack. Hope you're doing well as well. Zachary saying big up to ED as well. Where did I see? Chat's going up really, really quickly, so I do apologise. How many football shirts do you have, and how many Watford kits do you have? Asked Ballum.
Oh, that's very. I mean, I've got a drawer next to me for the Watford kits. How many do I have? I've probably got. I don't know, 20, I'd say, probably 20 kits. I'm 20 years old, so if you think about that as being like a kit per year of my life, I suppose that works out quite well.
Yeah, Roberto?
I think I've got about 6. I've been a Watford fan since 2013. I've pretty much got a home shirt every season, and then I've got like a couple of seasons I got away shirt. So I remember I got the Marco Silva one with the white sash on it with the red top.
Oh yeah.
That was a really cool kit, and I got the away shirt as well for the last championship season, the white and red. So yeah, I've got a nice collection.
Yeah, Jack Mack. Yes, I know. Yeah, they do love a result against us. Sula to Newcastle, Couchstub. They're probably linked with every Tom, Dick, and Harry right now. So I honestly couldn't tell you. So, I need to give my team prediction. Just realised. So Chris has gone for his team. So he's gone Kelleher, Arnold, Matip, Van Dijk, Tsimikas, Henderson, Keita, Jones, Salah, Firmino, Mane. Apparently, Jota is available for the weekend.
Ooh.
Interesting. Obviously, looking at that team, I would say Kelleher definitely, Arnold definitely. Well, at least we don't have Dejan bloody Lovren. Let me just say that, because that was a nightmare. The last time Troy Deeney had him on toast, for sure. I think Kanati comes in. I'm going to say Kanati will come in because I think Matip. I think we've got Atletico and then we've obviously got Manchester United. So I think Matip will probably be saved for the Atletico game. So I'm going to go Kelleher, Arnold, Kanati, Van Dijk. I do think Tsimikas might come in. I could see that happening, but I think possibly Robertson will definitely come in. Midfield, I think, is going to be interesting because obviously there's no Fab. So I think Henderson will play the 6. I think Milner might play, and I'm going to go Curtis Jones, and then up front I'm going to go Salah, Firmino, and Mane. I think that Jota will be on the bench. So yeah, I think quite similar to yours, Chris, but I do think that Milner might play instead of Keita. But I mean, when you look at that side, Roberto, who are the danger men in that side?
I mean, you basically got danger men.
It's quite a stupid question, really, because they're all very, very good players.
I mean, for a club like Watford, any of those players could cause us issues. Let's be honest. So the main men, of course, I think are Salah, Mane, and Alexander Arnold. The reason I say that, as I said before, set pieces. We know Trent is brilliant at that. Sadio Mane loves to score against us. I remember at Anfield, a nonchalant back heel. And
Oh God!
also,
I mean, that was quite a beautiful goal. You got to admit that was a really, really good goal.
And Salah's got an unbelievable record against us. Scored his debut goal, obviously, at Vicarage Road. I think it was Marco Silva, 3-3. So I'd like a game like that. That'd be fun. And
I wouldn't. I've been involved in a 3-3 this season with Brentford. I don't want another one. Goodness
do you get
me.
down to many Liverpool games, Doug, or do you not get to many at all?
I try to get to as many as I can. I did used to get to quite a lot of them, but obviously with the new stand, I haven't actually been for a while. So I do try to get to as many as I can, but I don't get to as many as I want to, but I am going to try and get to more games. That is for sure. I started, but after game week 3, says Mike. Very interesting, as well. Who do the lads reckon will be Watford's surprise player of the season? One to keep an eye on.
James, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go with that first. I think, well, he obviously made an impact against Aston Villa. You know, I've discussed him quite a lot today because he is
Cuco Hernandez.
Is becoming my favourite Watford player, I think. You know, Cucho Hernandez, he has so much potential. You know, João Pedro as well, I could throw in there. You know, he's just come back from injury. He's not really played in the Premier League at all. He had a little bit in our relegation season, but not really enough to really impress. So for me, I'm going to go with two players. I go with Cucho Hernandez and João Pedro. I think both of them can go on to have fantastic careers. And, you know, in a few years' time, they should both really be playing at, you know, Champions League clubs if they fulfill their potential.
Yeah,
Roberto?
I'd love to say Cucho Hernandez as well, just for the flair, the excitement, you know, his first season in English football. But I'm just not sure. Unfortunately, you know, we've brought in a lot of forwards, a lot of attacking wingers. I'm not sure how much game time Cucho Hernandez will get. So I think between two players, I'm going to go for two midfielders, actually. And I think both of these are quite, you know, decent signings. Cucho obviously was a really good signing out of the blue, but we've got here two players that have got a lot of experience. Ozan Tufan, I'm excited about him. I think there's someone that needs to make that midfield position their own. I think he could be the man. A lot of experience with Turkey. You know, he's, you know, had a lot of, you know, previous compliments about his career. He's that kind of player who we saw him in the first game he had against Stoke City in the Carabao Cup. He changed the momentum. He drove forward with the ball, drove into space. He just, maybe he's got that little X factor that he can make something happen in a game. And then of course Xisco, I think, you know, he was unfairly you know, dismissed against Tottenham. You know, he at times he was a fantastic player, integral to that Champions League team that got to the final. And I also think for Newcastle, he actually did. He scored more goals than people remember, and he always loved popping up late in the box. So I think those two. But I if I had to choose one, I'd actually go with Xisco. He's a personal fan favorite of mine, so I think he could be pretty consistent.
Neil, you've got us thinking now. Any players that play for Watford and Liverpool? The only one I can think of is John Barnes.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout.
I mean, that's the only one that comes to my mind anyway, although I'm sure once the stream's finished, I'll message you and when I think of someone else.
Yeah, you can't really think of it unless you're yeah, definitely. Actually, Konate or Gomez instead of Matip, you're right there. Well, there we go. Yeah. We shall see what happens. Hello to Cedric. Hope you're doing well. Right, so we are 53 minutes in now. Predictions for the game. Roberto, what are you going to go for?
Just whilst we're on it, I think I've remembered another one. I think it was back in the day, Ronnie Rosenthal. I think he played for Liverpool.
Yeah.
But I don't know anyone else, to be honest. It's quite a rare combination of teams because let's be honest, like if you're gonna go to Liverpool, you're gonna probably not do it the other way around. You're gonna start off at Watford, and that's what I think what Watford do. We make young talents, we sell them off for bigger money, and you know we make players into good teams. But I'm hoping, I don't want to jinx it, but I'm hoping, you know, if Sarr has an absolute wonder of a game, that Liverpool don't get their money out, because I'm worried about that.
Yes.
So score prediction, I think we have to just think of this as damage limitation. Like as much as we can say, oh, we should be trying to win every game, this is a very hard game. Liverpool into it, great form, lots of 3-0 wins. They've had a really consistent season, and I think away from home, they're looking very confident. So I think we'll kind of go into the first half thinking, can we stay in the game? The longer we can keep it 0-0, the better. But I think we will go into halftime 1-0 down, unfortunately. Mohamed Salah with the goal. And then second half, I just think we'll huff and puff. And maybe sometimes we might leave gaps for Liverpool to exploit us. And then I think 2 goals, first of all, from Trent Alexander-Arnold from a free kick. And then we'll go for a finish from Roberto Firmino.
Oh, 3-0 Liverpool.
Yeah.
Interesting. James, are you going to go anything different?
I'm going to be very, very optimistic. I'm going to absolutely forget about anything that Roberto has just said. I'm going to go with 4-0 to Watford. I'm very, very.
I'm usually optimistic, but when a new manager's come in, I'm it's hard to be optimistic. But I am usually the most optimistic person in Hartford, so this is a surprise.
No, I've always got to back Watford. I've always got to go for a Watford win, however unrealistic it may seem. And I actually think this time, especially with Alisson out, I think that's the key for me. I think, I've got no idea how good your backup keeper is. He could be world class and have a great game, but I'm hoping that that's going to be the key for me. And he might spill, he might throw the ball to one of our players. Who knows what's going to happen? I'm going to go with 4-0 to Watford. I think Sarr with another double.
Did I hear that right?
Yeah, you heard that right. You heard that right. 4-0. Ozan
4-0.
And
wow.
Then I reckon Kiko Femini might pop up with a goal as well. So yeah, very, very confident.
Dilly ding, dilly dong. This is like
dilly ding, dilly dong, indeed.
Yeah.
I think if that happened, I think Claudio Ranieri would be giving out double dinners there. Jesus, 4-0. Yeah. Chris has said, "Come on, Roberto, back your team."
Yeah, I do. That's what I'm saying. I always do, but it's Liverpool and it's a new manager. We just don't know what to expect.
Yeah, Mike Green is like 4.
Yeah.
3-0 Liverpool, says Cedric. Watford shirt 8 out of 10. I think he's referring to your shirt, Roberto. It is a very nice shirt. Actually,
been a very good model for us here today.
Yeah, you see, it's a shirt that I remember when they released it on the Watford Twitter, and I was so eye caught by it. I just thought, this is a shirt I've got to get. Really nice design, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think we'll win, but I am not going to go for anything crazy like 4-0 or 3-0. I'm going 3-1 actually. I'm going to go 3-1. I'm going to give Watford a goal because obviously we don't have Alisson, and I do think Kelleher is actually decent. He is actually a decent backup. He's no Adrian. He's no Karius.
To be fair, I probably prefer Adrian. I'm not going to lie. After that Aston Villa game.
Yeah, I know. Everyone says that to me. Everyone says, "Oh, can you not play Adrian just for us?" No. So it'll definitely be Kelleher. He kept a clean sheet last night against Qatar for Republic of Ireland. So his confidence will be high. But I'm going to give you a goal because you always seem to score against us at Vicarage Road. So I'm going to go 3-1. I'll go for Sarr because he always seems to score against us anyway. And
Sarr's really good friends with Sadio Mane as well, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Senegal teammate. Yeah.
I'm hoping Sarr will put a word in for us and just say, Mane, have a crap game for us this time. I'll pay you back later, and yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
I'm actually going to go for all the front three to score. I'm going to go Mane, Salah, and Firmino to all get on the score sheet.
That's what happened in the Marco Silva game. I think they all scored, so that could be
Yeah, definitely. Guys, get your predictions in just before we obviously head off. Watford 1, Liverpool 3. So Mike Green agreed with me. Sarr, Bobby, and Salah ×2. Interesting. Chris Ross says 2-0 Liverpool. No Adrian San Miguel playing. Douglas, I'm surprised LSE didn't release him. Nope, definitely not. Good minutes for him against Qatar. Friendly. Guys, we've been going an hour. I didn't plan to be an hour, but we've had some very, very good chat. We've had some very, very good debates as well. A big, big thank you to Roberto and James for coming onto the channel. And it's always a pleasure. And obviously, Roberto, I think this is your second time you've been on like a stream isn't it?
Yeah. I was on the Toon review just a few Fridays ago, so that was really good fun. But yeah, it's great to be on, and thanks for having me, Douglas.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Just shout your channels, because I know you've got two.
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but I have got two YouTube channels. I've got FPL Yellow Army, all capitals. That's my fantasy football channel if anyone's interested in FPL. And then, yeah, my main channel, Football Predictions, Watford Match Reviews. It's Roberto the Hornet. So that's where you can follow me on YouTube.
Yeah, it's just there, just in your name. James, shout out Watford way. You guys have just passed 500, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, on the road to 1,000 on YouTube. We've got loads and loads of followers on Twitter, which is very, very nice. Instagram as well. Find us on everything: Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, at the Watford Way. Every handle is the same. And yeah, go check us out. We'll obviously be covering the Liverpool game. We'll be doing a preview for that tomorrow. Reaction on Sunday as well. So yeah, thank you very much for having me on. Much appreciated. And yeah, looking forward to the 4-0 win that I get to witness on Saturday lunchtime.
Love it.
I tell you, if that happens, you're going to probably message me and say, "Told you so, told you so." Take care, lads. All the best for the rest of the season, Watford fans. And Chris says he'll give you us both a sub as well.
Cool.
And Mike Green said he's been subbed to James for a while. Oh, there you go then.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
And I'll now, Roberto. I think he means sub. Yeah, there you go. There you go, sub. But yeah, guys, obviously, if you have missed the live stream, then please obviously watch it back. Share the stream out to as many Liverpool friends as well, and hit the like button as well. It does help the algorithm, I'm told, about YouTube as well. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game. Obviously, Claudio Ranieri's first game in charge of the Hornets, and it is going to be a really interesting affair. Will Watford make it back-to-back wins against Liverpool at Vicarage Road, or will the Reds manage to get the victory? From the three of us, it is good night, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.